one podcast, mining the Magic the Gathering subreddits for salt. This is the Howling Salt Mine.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to another.
Whoa. Who fucking?
We did that live too.
Oh man, damn!
Gotta-
Keep going.
Gotta be quicker than that, Tony.
Yeah.
I'll probably just do it wrong, and you do it after, and then we'll just like record simultaneously. We'll line them up.
Yeah. Well,
Right
welcome
on top of
back
each
to
other.
it.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Howling Salt Mine, the podcast where we delve into those salty mines. We go into Reddit, we get DMs, we get listener mail, we get stories
welcome
from
the prospectors. What the fuck is
Oh
going
my
on,
God, dude. I didn't. Just do
Nice.
it.
We're
Just do it,
crushing
Tony.
it. Oh no, I like where this is gone.
All right. Yeah. So we talk about salt, all kinds of magic salt, EDH salt, people playing games, getting salty, all that good stuff. We try to laugh with you, cry with you, maybe even impart some wisdom if we're
Bring them back.
truly
that
on
one.
our game. I'm your co-host, Mike, and I'm joined by my other co-host, Tony. Say
Man,
hey, Tony.
I was gonna roast you so hard if you were like, I'm your host, Mike. I was gonna be like, you're
know.
a fucking co-host. Don't even try. But what's up, bitches? We doing it. We live. This is history in the making, as
Yeah.
they say.
Yeah,
The
this
first
is-
Raw Dog Tony Mike episode.
Oh heavens. Oh God. We're going to learn just how much we need Sam steering the ship, and we're going to wander aimlessly through, what is maybe an episode and what is maybe some posts and
Yeah.
all that good stuff. So, yeah, let's talk about salt, right?
Yeah, but before we do all that shit, I have to say Stardew Valley is a sinkhole of time, and it's amazing. And
Yeah.
I was first exposed to this game by Mike, actually, because he got it for his girlfriend. And this was like peak pandemic. Pandemic had like just happened.
It had gone full swing.
Yeah. And so like we were still living together, and literally she would just play on the couch and we'd all sit in there and just kind of watch. And
Yeah.
really, I was just listening. Like the sounds are so fucking satisfying. But so I knew that she hadn't really played a ton of video games, and like Mike was like, oh, this is like a great introduction to that style of life. And so I got Hogwarts Legacy. I think we talked about it at one point, but Stephanie was playing that, and she was like very into breeding animals and like doing specific like things that seem to align well with a Stardew type game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got it, and we have just been playing nonstop. We've actually put in like 80 hours over the course of the past.
You're doing a full-time job over there. Damn.
Like literally. And it was amazing because for the first time ever since I've been with Stephanie, we were up until 4 a.m.
No.
playing this game.
No.
And like she looked over and she was like, oh my God, it's 4. And I was like, now you get it.
Yeah.
Now you understand.
That is the most rewarding part of like introducing your partner to video games, is like suddenly these like wonderful but terrible experiences you've had of like going way too late into the night.
Yeah,
Those
like
suddenly
habits
make
that you
sense.
have.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, she got it. She understood.
That's
and I was
awesome.
like, this is fucking amazing. So
are you playing co-op? Are you both
we're
playing at
not.
the same
We're
time?
actually just we'll just like trade up. For the longest time, I was just watching her play.
Yeah.
And then it turned into me actually like playing as well. Like there's some combat aspects when you get into, like,
you were doing the
stuff.
mines.
Yeah, so I did the mines.
That's amazing. We've done the exact same thing.
Yeah. It just just makes sense. It just fucking works, you know. So
Wow.
that's how we do. That's
So
how we
have you
do.
gotten to the desert yet?
Yes.
Nice.
Yo, fuck that shit. That the Skull Cavern is so much harder.
Yeah.
We have completed the community center.
Yeah.
We have like done all of that. And we just unlocked the new island. There's like a new island you go to with like the boat or whatever, like that bullshit.
I don't think I ever made it I didn't like do everything in the game. I watched Mika do a lot of it though.
So Stephanie was like slowing down. She's like, all right, I'm kind of over it once we completed the community center. And then they know how to get you, because all of a sudden there's all these little random things that pop up that you can do after you do it. And so now she's like kind of back in. Has been playing pretty hard. She also had some like time off and stuff. So I was like, this is like perfect. Like you're gonna love this. This is gonna be like a great little way to like spend some time.
Yeah. Do the do.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Do the do.
So you got her on Hogwarts. You got her with Stardew. What's next on the docket?
Well, actually, somebody should at me with what is next.
True.
Because I don't know. Like those are the things that I knew would work. Yeah. And like if I want to keep this trend going, I gotta find something else.
Something to be aware of that we encountered is if there's ever a game that's too similar to Stardew, you'll get the, well, why am I not just playing Stardew effect? Like we encountered that with Animal Crossing. So you got to keep it just different enough.
Yeah. It's interesting because I actually was thinking about giving her Animal Crossing as well. Because it's a very similar vibe, but
yeah, it could be her thing too. You know, everybody's different.
Yeah. Man, I wish you could see the layout of our farm and how shitty it was and how we never really changed it. We very recently changed shit.
Yeah.
Like, we very quickly became mayonnaise farmers. And like, we have made like $700,000 on
oh my God
mayonnaise in a very short period of time.
That mayo money.
Yeah, that sweet mayo money. Mayo money.
That's great. So you got your coop up and running.
Oh yeah, 2 deluxe coops, baby. That's the only way. I got fucking void chickens and shit. Like,
oh my gosh.
Oh man, that and the pigs for truffle.
I'm sorry to any listener that hasn't played this truly excellent game, but it is worth checking out. The craziest part about it is that it's made by like one guy.
100%. I had recently finished some other games and I was like, you know how the credits rolled for like fucking 10 minutes and the whole time the whole screen is full of names. You're like, hundreds of people worked on this game.
Yeah.
And then Stardew is literally one dude.
Yeah.
I don't think we've gotten to a true. I don't even know if there's like a credit rolling scene of Stardew, but if there is, I feel like it'd be fucking hilarious to just see this dude's one name.
Well, I think it's just in the front. I think you open the game and it's like Concerned Ape, and you're like, all right, we're there. Great.
Fuck.
Wow, what a game.
Yeah.
Well, should we get talking about, what we're here to talk about? Salt.
Oh yeah, that was the cute. What? But Mike, what's salt?
Salt is, we like to say.
No, I say bullshit. It's already bad.
We don't. Sam likes to say that salt is frustrations in the game. It is.
Oh yeah, that is. If there is one thing that is true about our episodes, it is that Sam says that salt is frustrations in the game.
Right. Right.
Consistency in that is key.
Yeah, and we're carrying that torch forward here. It is people getting grumpy with each other over a pleasant tabletop game of cards. It is your friend maybe removing your critical combo piece right when you're about to show everyone how brilliant of a deck builder you are. It's when you're in your first season of Stardew and you're about to change seasons and you have like a lot of crops planted and then it changes season and you lose all your crops. Yeah, like, and they all die.
Don't even know it's gonna happen. And all of a sudden the next day you're like, what the fuck? All my crops are dead.
It's when you go into the Skull Caverns thinking, oh, I can crush some mines right now, and you get your booty handed to you.
Oh yeah, absolutely destroyed. We should just become a Stardew Stardew podcast.
The Howling Dew mine. No. Cut it. It's not good.
Oh man, that's staying in for sure.
Yep.
Wow, I don't even know. Well, I guess so with that,
Yeah, now that we've really taken care of business in a clean and orderly fashion,
yeah, should we get on in there?
let's get on in there, as you say.
Alrighty, motherfuckers, buckle up.
Buckle up, prospectors.
Yeah.
Tony's driving this boat now. This cart. Tony's steering the cart.
Our first foray into the mine. You like that?
I don't know that we've forayed before.
We haven't, but we are now. Comes to us from a place close to our hearts, Reddit. And it comes from user Savage Galaxy 101. If you see Savage Galaxy, oh fuck.
Oh no.
I haven't even read the post. It's just a fucking username. If you see Savage Galaxy 101 on the Reddits, fucking hit him up, give him an upvote. You know the drill, spread that goodwill. And the post goes, hey guys, been listening through these episodes at work and I'm up to date. Wanted to share some salt I had somewhat recently. Had my first genuinely bad game of Magic recently. My partner and I decided to open a box of MH2. Got some cool stuff and some people passed by, seeing if we got the red elemental as people are desperate for that one around here. Eventually, we invited one guy to play Commander with us, as that's our main goal for these Friday nights. It didn't start great, as he condescendingly invited a nearby teen to join us. Something like, hey, you gonna play tonight, or you just gonna sit there? The kid didn't seem too happy with that, but obliged.
The voice was top. The voice was so good. Petition for more
more narrative voices. That's how the kid sounded. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
This guy had me pick between two face down cards to see which deck he'd play that night. I guess I picked wrong, as he was now trying out his new cEDH Lavinia Stacks deck against my Baru Worm Tribal, my partner's Yawgmoth deck, and the teen's Chattering Fang deck. It seemed I'd be the lowest power there, but I'm usually fine with that. I like a challenge. He proceeds to narrate all of his moves the entire time in a way that he thinks we can't hear him or that we are NPCs. To note, I encourage announcing plays, but still treating people like they're there. He starts playing some pretty heavy stacks, like Omen Machine, with the intent of hardlocking us from casting anything not really in our hands, and Stasis to stall for time. He does explain at some point here that his intent isn't to beat us, but to do literally nothing each turn, and beat us with a 2/2 commander for 11 turns of combat each. I target him down with beaters the entire time, since his stack is holding me back, although it's also holding everyone else back. I'm confident I'll go faster than them. He complains about it the last turn or two until I kill him, while he's struggling and tutoring to find something to save him again, talking out loud through his options. When my turn comes around to kill him, he asks me what triggers I have for attacking or for combat damage, and I tell him, none, you just die. And he proceeds to scoop at instant speed with the intent to not let me have any triggers for those actions, and continues to complain that I targeted him down, that I should have focused on the other people. I mentioned that I don't do that, instant speed scoops, personally, since there's no advantage in this in casual. It's just a spite move that didn't even affect me. He then goes on about how it's the correct thing to do in tournaments and helps deny points from your opponents.
Oh my gosh.
I reaffirmed that it's whatever that he did it. It just comes off as really sweaty.
It does.
After he is out of the game, I free cast Cage Sun from a Mosswort Bridge into an unnatural growth and kill the Chatterfang player the following turn, and kill Yawgmoth the turn after, swinging for about 60 to 70 combat damage each time, cleaning up the game rather efficiently. I know that cEDH decks can run into issues playing against non-cEDH decks, since they have very different strategies in composition. Mainly, I already had enough beaters out that the lock didn't hurt. It was just a bad time, and the guy was making insensitive remarks around the game too. Like something about a game piece that was removed got fucked harder than the US government did to Bin Laden. Oh, Jesus. Christ.
Oh my gosh.
I guess he's now on a short list of people to avoid at my locals. I wish I had a better Rule Zero conversation with him, but I don't think it would have changed the person I was playing with. Maybe just the decks. Salted the night, but my partner and I made it sweeter with a few more packs that night and headed home. Looking forward to hearing more episodes from y'all. Have a great weekend.
Wow. Well, thanks, Savage Galaxy. We're glad you're liking the show. But wow. What a player to encounter.
Man, I'm just reeling still over trying to fucking read this shit. Like, oh man, y'all get the edited version, but it probably took me a good 5 minutes just to get through. And 5 minutes is long for reading, you know, like
5 minutes is long when you only have a 40-minute Zoom license.
yeah, because you didn't get the permission to have the real account.
Yeah. This is interesting though, because we had some experience playing against a Lavinia stacks deck in cEDH, because Nick used to play some Lavinia stacks, and it is this thing where the lock that it gets on the board is just preventing anyone from casting
like doing anything.
Yeah, it doesn't prevent anything that's on the board. So if you're not ahead on board, you're just going to get like steadily whacked until you're out of the game.
Yeah, and I think that like happened once. I think it got us to a point, maybe even frequent. And I think I was playing Corvold pretty heavily at the time. So it's like,
and I was playing a lot of Halden and Paco. So it's like, well,
there's two big beaters out on the board, like fucking shit up because nobody else can cast anything. And so you end in kind of like a state like that. But yeah, this is like that typical classic Salt. Like you just got people, the wrong power levels, and like, why would you ever play a cEDH deck at this kind of thing, especially a fucking stacks deck? God.
Yeah, especially like a Lavinia deck is it's the kind of cEDH deck that is building to disrupt metas. Like it's there to try and beat these other turbo decks, beat these, you know, mid-range kind of grindy value decks. It's trying to sneak in these stacks pieces that people don't have a lot of suspicion about, and then lock out the board when other people have like, you know, one dork on the board. And so a 2/2 is able to just run the table down. But it's very noticeably not the kind of cEDH deck that can stand in a casual list like this, right?
For sure. Yeah. It's not busting any metas here. Like you just got some beaters out and you're just beating face. That's how we do. That's what we do.
Yeah. I don't know. The other thing is like choosing the deck someone's going to be playing. It's just like by picking a face down card. I don't know. It kind of shows that they're not looking to have a Rule Zero conversation and come out with a well-matched pod. They're looking to play some of their decks, maybe choose it randomly, but that's not the same thing as looking for balance.
For sure. What you don't know, Mike, is that both face down cards were Lavinia, and he just had two Lavinia decks like ready to go.
Yeah, true. Savage Galaxy actually didn't know that either.
Yeah, that's the killer. That's the real deal here. It's interesting. And then to top it all off, there's kind of like some weird insensitive comments being made. They're a little aggressive.
Yeah,
for like
and
this
like
day and age,
being
like,
weird, trying to get another player. Like, you're gonna sit there all day, kid. Like there's so many elements. But yeah, definitely on that short list of players to not play with.
Yeah,
100%.
What do you feel about the salt rating here on this one?
This is
This is a story of the girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world.
Yeah, and she cried so much that river was really salty.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is a player.
River of tears. Like you don't want to drown in that shit.
No,
like.
you don't. It's a pretty top self-inflicted salt. Like this player, you know, they're whipping up some dinner and they're like, oh, I should season this with some salt. You know, I'll put a little Lavinia Omen Pool into my meal. And then they realized that they just way overdid it. And that they're the only one that got hurt by it, because like everyone else brought their own food. They were fine. They were happy. But they got locked out and had no food.
For real. I feel like it's always a sad day when like the answer is more just don't play with this person.
Mhm.
Like and it feels like so obvious. It's not even like well, maybe give them another chance. Like there's just like too many red flags.
Yeah.
Like when you have too many red flags, you swipe left, right? Like that's how you do. Or yeah.
Tony's doing the holding his hands up to look at the fingers to figure out the L.
Figure which way is left and right. For real. So when I need to figure out my left and right, I am a lefty living in a righty world. For all you lefties out there, at me, because you understand my pains, because everything is fucking made for righties, fucking can openers, scissors, all the important things in life. And as a child, I'm also like sort of ambidextrous. So it's like I do like sports and some things with like my right hand, and then like finer craft skills like drawing and writing and stuff I do with my left. And like literally with things like a tennis racket, I don't know which one. I need to have it in my hand to really identify. But as a result, I'm really bad at left and right because I can't just be like, oh, this is the hand I do things with.
Right.
And so I always like sort of my actual geographical location does not matter, but for some reason I feel like I can always envision positionally where my first grade classroom is.
Wait, what?
And there is a teddy bear holding an L on the left side of the room, and a teddy bear holding an R on the right side of the room.
Cannot be real.
And that is how I get left and right, by like being like,
Wow.
like sometimes you'll see me like turn a little bit when I'm doing left and right, and it's because I'm adjusting to where my classroom is, so that I can get those directions.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. If you really want to fuck with Tony, just play Pramicon and he will be out of the game. Well, I can't
That
attack.
definitely will fuck with me.
I don't know which way is left and which way is right, so I guess I'm not
I'm
attacking.
just not gonna attack. I can't identify which direction it goes. So
Wow.
yeah, let it be known. Anyway, should we get into another one?
Yeah, we should. We should for sure.
You wanna lay it on me this time?
Yeah, I'll lay a track down.
Ooh, lay that sweet track.
This one comes from our Patreon. This is from our patron and friend Florian. This one is called Golos Tireless Salt Ingester. Here's how it goes. Back when I played my Golos deck while it was still legal, I popped off with my land shenanigans. I basically used Reshape the Earth and Mnemonic Deluge to get every land out of my deck and then sacked them into a Zurin Orb and squandered resources.
Hold. Before we go any further, Zurin Orb, most OP card in the game.
Absolutely.
Anyway, carry on.
This all triggered a bunch of producers like Titania, making a mountain of tokens. The plan was to then recur the lands with a splendid reclamation, a very powerful and cool thing to do. Still fair, because it takes a lot of mana and is vulnerable. All true, all true. Speaking of vulnerable, before I was able to return all lands from my grave with a splendid reclamation, they used a Walking Atlas. They put a Bajuka Bog into play, exiling my graveyard and making me very salty and sad. At least I had my creatures to swing next turn. The table's turn went by, and no one did anything to remove my creatures. Letting out a sigh of relief, I went to draw my card and commence a table-wide attack to end the game. The same player then said, before damage, I would like to cast a Settle the Wreckage, exiling all attacking creatures, and not even triggering the Omnath death triggers. I was getting even more salty. No lands, no creatures, just a few useless enchantments. And to increase my salt, they even said smirkingly, but you get to search your library for as many basic lands as you had attacking creatures and put them into play. Friends, let me tell you, physically, it is very hard to bring salt to a boiling point. True. Chemically true, I believe. But I was steaming and bubbling. Letting out another sigh, this time of defeat, I scooped my cards up and stuck the deck back into my box. Wow.
I mean, I
Perfect
get
storm.
the salt, but it's like, it's kind of spicy.
Yeah, it is. It's great. This
First
is
off,
yeah.
I think we need to read a card here.
Let's read it.
So Zurin Orb, 0 mana artifact. It says sacrifice a land, you gain 2 life. Big deal. And then it comes with the flavor text. Obsession is Zur's one flaw as a magic user. His total preoccupation with immortality has become an affliction for his otherwise brilliant mind. Joda, Archmage Eternal.
How much? It costs 0 too. It's busted. OP.
Yeah. It's fucking 0. So like, why do I not have a deck built around Zurin Orb? Like, why is this not in my life?
Well, here's the list too, right? Just play your banned Golos deck.
Literally.
Yeah, we've had some moments with Zurin Orb in our play groups. I don't know if we've talked about them yet, but
I feel like maybe we mentioned it once, but to be honest, I feel like I don't even remember where the legend began.
It was just a card that like stayed in a deck that no longer had the synergy for it. So I think it was.
Did anybody have a deck that had synergy?
Yeah. Because it's pretty good with like Florian was saying here, it's pretty good with anything where you can get some kind of value off of losing a land, off of sacrificing a land. Or if you can recur a land, anything like that.
Yeah, it sounds like it was in one of Mike's decks, fans.
No, I think it was Sam's. Honestly. Could have been Nick's. Definitely wasn't ours. We're not big brain enough to run Zurin Orb in a deck.
Yeah.
But I love this. I can, I know there's some salt here from Florian, but this is the kind of thing where you're shooting big, you're swinging big for the fences here. You're doing something kind of vulnerable. You're exposed to interaction, but the payoff, if it all goes well, is worth it. So you just go for it. And those are the moments where like someone, figures out that they can interact with that. And it's just perfect. You get way more of this back and forth of the game happening than just like, if this doesn't run into interaction, it's almost more boring because it goes off. They get a bunch of tokens. They have a bunch of lands. It all works. And then they get a big swing in, deal a bunch of damage, and everyone dies. And that's cool. It's like, okay, great. You got to do your thing. But something about getting perfectly blown out is actually so good. And then the extra, like, the chef's kiss is that the board wipe would allow you to search up basic lands out of your deck right when you have none to go get.
It's wow, what a perfect storm. You said it. And it, because I feel like maybe it's just me, because this is definitely my play style of like, I like to almost live like an exposed nerve. Like I'm just like waiting to get back to my turn with things that clearly shouldn't stay. Like, they shouldn't still be here by the time I get back. But I'm so salty if they're removed. I'm like, why did you target me? This is bullshit. Like, you shouldn't be getting rid of my shit. But when it gets my turn, I'm like, you fools. And then like, like fucking popping off. But I feel like that is like in every Magic player's like nature. Like eventually you get to a turn, so usually around turn 5 or 6, honestly, where it's like you're playing a thing that's gonna make a difference if it gets back to you. It's like if it makes it back, this is gonna be fucking awesome.
Totally.
And you're just constantly hoping that it will. Like nobody's gonna fuck with you.
And I think in Commander, more than like almost any other Magic format, you're a little more willing to play the thing that you're hoping is going to make it around. Like in a one-on-one format, you play a card, and if you're hoping to make it back around, really what you're hoping is that the opponent doesn't have an answer. In a Commander game, like it's really pretty likely that someone has an answer. You're just hoping that they're not going to choose to use it on your creature or whatever piece you just put out.
Yeah, for real. It's like, oh man, I'm just thinking, I feel like this has happened to me before in my Omnath decks where like, not exactly the same, but I have gotten to a point where I'm like, I don't have lands I can look for. Right. So I can't, the Settle Wreckage is so good.
Yeah.
It's so mean, but it's so good.
It's just,
I feel like
we should probably, let's read Settle the Wreckage while we're at it too. In case anybody doesn't know.
Yeah. And I'll let Mike read this one because I think I've learned in this last post that Mike reads better than I do.
Or maybe Florian's just a really excellent
just the
author.
most articulate,
extremely articulate author. All right. So Settle the Wreckage is 2 and 2 white, so 4 mana for an instant that says exile all attacking creatures target player controls, and then that player may search his or her library for that many basic land cards. Put those cards onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle their library. It's
Is there flavor text on that? It sounds like I feel like there's a lot of regular text, so there probably isn't flavor text.
Yeah, no flavor text, but it's illustrated by Dimitar Marinsky. So
love that.
Yeah.
Do you run that in any decks?
I used to run it in Brian.
I feel like it always does work.
It does.
It gives usually a lot of resources to your opponents, but usually like saves you in a big way, because you don't just use it, on like 2 creatures unless they're gonna fucking kill you. But
right,
it's like I feel like it's one of those things I'm usually not expecting to happen, and then when it does, it almost is like kind of an okay board wipe, as in like your opponents still get as salty about it because they also get value from it, right? Like I lost my creatures, but you know what? I got a bunch of lands. And so like I feel like it softens the blow almost. Like I feel less rage than when somebody just like blows up all my shit or exiles all my shit. Like I don't like it. It's still a board wipe. Let's clarify. But like I feel like of them, it also sort of helps progress the game a little bit too, like as it do.
But I think that's also like one of the kind of sneaky things about it. Like I think this seems like it's actually going to be an okay board wipe, but 9 times out of 10, this is actually way worse than people anticipate it being. Like you're either hitting a huge board, like if someone goes crazy wide, has like infinite tokens or something, it doesn't matter because it's still hitting all of them. Or if you're only using this, like you were saying, on like 1 or 2 creatures, you're kind of playing it as like a double path to exile. Like you're playing it as 2, and it's still really good in that situation.
Bad rate in that situation, but
yeah. A lot of the time people are getting like really greedy with their land bases. Like if someone's in 4 colors, they are not running many basic lands. So yeah, it's one of those cards where it feels like you're not really blowing people out that badly, but then they're not getting as many cards out of their library. They're losing a lot more creatures than they're expecting, and it is actually pretty brutal when push comes to shove.
Yeah, never feels good.
No.
But again, at least I'm getting some lands,
Yay.
Like if it doesn't happen at all, I'm much happier. But
for sure.
What do you think about the salt rating here on this one?
Ooh, high salt, very high sodium situation. But it's like the salt that you're ready for. Like you're putting yourself out there to get something really salty. Like you ordered the fries, you're hoping they're good, but they might just be way overdone.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of like tasty salt. This is like that salt. I feel like for me on the outside, I'm like eating the bag of popcorn. But for Florian here, he's like at the bottom and there's like nothing but salt down there. And he's like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, it's the last 5 kernels that have just gotten all of what's left in the bottom there.
Yeah.
For sure. Well,
alrighty. Our next post here comes from our Gmail, from Balbooey. Probably saying names incorrectly, but that's okay. At me when I'm wrong. And the post title here is Bringing a Friend to EDH for Revenge. Nice. All started when I went to this LGS to play a game of Commander with a new casual deck I'd built. The commander is Guile, the Sonic Soldier, which focuses on extra combat steps, proliferating, building Guile up to be a Voltron. Nothing fast, oppressive, or annoying. Faced an Azorius group hugger who said he had no win cons besides helping other players win, a single target Spellslinger deck, and an Dragon deck. As the game progresses, you know how it ended up. Mana Vault, Jessica Will, and summoning a lot of creatures. After I dealt damage to him, he gaslighted everyone that I was a bigger threat and that he isn't a threat with his fast flying dragons. The group hugger then rewarded him for playing well by blowing up my Solemn to give everyone a land, revive his dragons, and play an enchantment in which you can cast any spell by discarding cards with the same color identity. For a dragon player, you know how things will turn out. I was salty and said to the whole group that he is a threat and he did not understand the play. This guy bluntly lied about the power of his deck, and I found out that the group hugger player was his friend who did not help me, and the fourth player proceeded to kingmake the dragon player.
Oof.
Fast forward, I brought a friend and met him, asked him what power his deck was, and he replied by saying yes. My friend, who I told the story to, asked me, "Is this the guy?" I nodded, and he also whipped out his yes deck, which is a high-powered borderline cEDH Tetsuko with fast mana, expensive real cards, which I forget, that specialize in unblockable damage, drawing, and keeping mana up for counters, tutors, and extra combat. He got wrecked, of course. Am I the asshole? Should I have stopped and moved to another pod with my friend?
Intriguing.
First, the thing I want to... I'll have to try and remember it, though. So the card he's talking about where you can pitch cards...
Dream Halls.
Dream Halls, yeah. That card fucking rules.
Yeah, like, that card is cool.
I used to play it in my Locust God deck, yeah. And so I think it's just 4 mana, blue, and 2 colorless.
It's 5.
Okay.
I was just messing around with it in a deck the other day. Yeah.
I was gonna say, you really seem to fucking know this off of memory. But you drop it down, and then anything that shares color identity, you can just play for free. So it's like you pitch a card, do it. So if you're like wheeling and doing things like Locust God wants to do, it just is like a really powerful effect. So I know that it kind of like stomped you a little bit, but props to that card because it does some dirty good things. And it is everyone, like everyone can do it, which is usually the kind of deck that's playing it like in casual settings is not everybody's going to have answers for everything. And so it's a little mean in some ways. I'm actually wondering if you could do some kind of cEDH build around it, but then everybody's going to have too many answers and shit. So
yeah, it just gives everyone else too much value at that point too.
Yeah. But anyway, what are your vibes here, Mike? What are you thinking? How would this make you feel?
I mean, I kind of love the like, oh yeah, well, I'll bring my like big brother and he's gonna beat you up. You know? Like it's some pretty good petty middle school stuff, but it's like warranted, right? After the first instance. So I don't know, like I feel a little bit like he got what's coming to him, but I think it's not exactly like, I think you're kind of doing yourself a disservice in that moment. Like I'm sure the revenge feels good as you're living it, but it's also something where you might have had a better time if you just went and like played a truly well-matched game against other people. But it's hard to say, and everyone enjoys something a little differently there. Maybe the revenge was sweet enough that it was worth it.
Yeah. And it's kind of also a bit of this game where like you can have something that's on the board that people don't like, and it makes you the enemy, no matter how much. Like, people don't forget things. Like that's almost the painful thing. Like on turn 2, you can play a stacks piece or something that people just don't like, and it could get removed a turn later, and the rest of the game people are gonna be like, fuck that guy. Like they like, I mean, I've definitely done that before. Hashtag RIP beat and Soul Guide Lantern or whatever the fuck that card was. But like, you just like get vendettas against people, which is like, you know, in some ways part of the fun of Commander, as long as you don't take it like too far. But it's like almost hard to come back from those moments where it's like, okay, I've done the thing that people hate. It's been removed, but like this other player who's doing like really broken shit, like we're just sort of overlooking it as a result of you know, sort of things that happened in the past that kind of don't matter anymore. Right.
Like I was going to say, it's one of those things where when these vendettas happen from a kind of a natural, like they arise naturally from the game, then that's kind of fun. It's often a great moment, like to joke. It can even be something where like you end up with, frankly, like a friendship out of it on the other side. Like you have this like thing now with Beat where it's like that's the guy that you've got the vendetta against. That still means you like have this thing that you've kind of bonded over a little bit. I think the thing about this post that really gets me going is the multiple levels of like lying, like not being clear that maybe each other, that your friend's sitting down at a table, the kind of unexplained fact that he's like rewarding him for quote playing well. Like that's that's pretty BS too, especially when you learn after the fact that they are just friends. It's like those things where you're taking stuff from outside of the game, friendships from outside of the game, and then lying about them, covering them up in order to get some kind of game advantage is super weird.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just imagining like you and I at a Friday Night Magic sitting down with some fucking punks and just being like, I don't fucking know him. Like, oh, good job, Mike. Like, thanks for bull citadeling me on turn 2. Like, that was a good play. I'm gonna give you more fucking shit.
For real. Like if you played Xyrus and then just like were feeding me cards on a deck, it's like what? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, feels like there's some sad other things going on there that you feel like you need to like do that at a table where you're like coming all across. But I do love the playground moment of like you mentioned like coming in with your friend then and being like, yo, what up? Like this that fucking guy. It's like, like throw down of the century about to happen,
Right. Yeah. I don't think you're the asshole, but I think you may have been better served by, purely looking for a positive experience. But I'm not one to stop people if they're out for revenge, get it while the getting's good, I guess.
Yeah. Lighthearted EDH revenge is okay. Like just don't take it past like the cards on the table.
Right.
Like, be chill.
At a certain point you have to realize that you're all gonna put an hour, 2 hours into this. So is it worth it to have kind of a garbage experience for like 2 hours on your Friday night? Again, I can't make that call for you.
Yeah.
In my mind, it almost never is, but for some people it is. So
yeah, it depends on how hard you can pub stomp versus how hard they can pub stomp, and then like will be better or worse depending upon the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Well, what do we think about that sweet salt rating on this bad boy?
It's great. It's high. We haven't seen a schoolyard beatdown like this in a while. That's good stuff. Remembering something like this between multiple weeks and then being like, oh yeah, here's the guy. Let's fucking do it.
Is it that time of the week?
Oh, I sure hope it's that salty.
Do we even let you do
week.
this anymore? After Sam read it that one time, it feels like
all right. If I leave the Zoom though, it's ending the call. So we can't do that this time. And then we'll have to wait for it to record. We can't.
Well, I think it is that time of the week.
Okay.
It's the time of the week where we ask, like, what's the salty card of the week?
The salty card of the week this week.
Show me the meaning of salty posts. Tell me why I can't go on anymore.
Perfect.
Ooh.
Thanks, Tony.
That was pure off the cuff.
That was good.
I had this moment of I was like, fuck. Like I got to do something, and that was the song in my mind. Let it be known.
Is that song always the song that's in your mind?
Maybe it depends. If anyone wants a glimpse inside the dome, that's what's in there right now.
That is it. Well, we have a bit of a special salty card of the week.
Ooh,
because this card is not on the top 100 salty cards.
Is that legal?
It is legal.
Can you do that?
And it's important, and it needs to be discussed. The salty card of the week this week is Marath, Will of the Wilds.
How is that card not on the top 100 salt?
Tony's asking the
fucking
real
card?
questions here. Exactly. How is it not on the top 100
Oh,
cards?
fuck, dude.
Yep. Because it really should be. It really, really
Ugh.
should be.
Fuck.
All right.
Wow.
Let me read
I
it
just
for
got
everybody.
triggered before you even started reading it.
In honor of Sam, so a little context. This is one of Sam's favorite commanders. He plays this all the time. He has played it casually. He has ramped it up to competitive. It's his little baby
is it
elemental
competitive?
beast.
That's
Is it? This is a real question that gets asked regularly when it shows up. But it does beat us enough that it's hard to say that it wouldn't be.
Has it ever won?
It doesn't beat me by winning. It beats me by crushing my spirit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That
So
does.
in that regard, it wins every time it shows up at the table.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever lost from that perspective.
Okay, so Marath, Will of the Wild. It's 3 mana. It's a red, green, white. So straight Naya. It's a legendary creature, elemental beast. Marath, Will of the Wild enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it. So that counts like command attacks and stuff too. And then it has an activated ability. Pay X, remove X +1/+1 counters from Marath, and then choose one of these. Put X +1/+1 counters on target creature. Marath deals X damage to any target, or create an XX green elemental creature token. And you can't choose 0 for X on any of these as well.
Has he ever made a fucking... I didn't even know it could make a green elemental
It can make
creature.
a creature. He does it just to chump block sometimes, like occasionally.
Okay.
But
yeah.
So I'm gonna just keep dumping on what this card does. It all the time. It's coming out, and it's basically pay X, deal X damage. Like at the end of the day, like you have to work around getting it out, having some counters on it. But once it's out, once you have some counters on it, it's pay X, deal X damage. So for people that are playing things like Magda, where all your dwarves have 1 life, or Emery, where your commander has 2 toughness, or literally anything.
Or literally any fucking creature in cEDH that you have on the board, because it's usually mana dorks. There's all these like little things that like it's so easy to ping down with. Like, fuck.
Yeah, it is. Like every creature that matters to some extent is pretty easy to just get blasted by Marath.
I actually think it's borderline more viable in a cEDH environment as a result of that. Like, because it do that.
I think you might have a hard time convincing the majority of the player base that, but
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying, like, I can see how it's like plausible.
Yeah.
You know, like you can remove so much value from people's table so continuously. It's just like, it's annoying. It fucking comes back. I feel like part of what I hate about this fucking card is that it plays similar to like Agave Guru of Spores.
Another Sam special.
Yeah. So the decks are basically the same for so long.
Yeah.
I feel like he just like added red to Agave and took out the black.
Right.
Like that was literally what it was. It plays very similar.
It's either spicy Selesnya counters or evil Selesnya counters.
Yeah.
Is it red or black that you're adding in?
But they both play in this fashion where they just build up these kind of annoyingly complex board states where all of a sudden I'm like, okay, what the fuck is going on? And it's usually too late at that point. Like by the time he's got all the pieces out, all of a sudden you're like, okay. And or like the last piece is coming onto the table. There's like not much you can do. And it's very reactive and it's very like sit there and wait, which I'm surprised I haven't built these decks because I love these types of decks. Where it's just like you're reactive, you do stuff to everyone else. And I feel like such a sense of panic. Like that, I feel like that's what really does it in for me. When he plays Marath, the whole time I'm just sitting there and like I'm worried. I'm like, what on my board is he gonna kill? Like, I'm not playing things because of it. I'm like, I have things out and I'm just freaking out the whole time. I'm like, is it gonna make it around? Like, it's there. Like, how can I protect my things? I really basically fucking can't.
Yeah, you know
Man,
that damage is just sitting there on the table. And
yeah.
And it's often like, it is limited enough. The first time he casts it, it's just like 3 damage he can dish out. So if there's enough stuff on the board, you're sitting there like hoping that your stuff isn't the biggest threat. It might not get removed. But there are a couple other things about this card that makes it really good. It combos off with a couple things. And for any listener that's worried that you're not getting enough Marath content, I am sure Sam will do it like a deck tech on it at some point. And I think he did.
Just join the Marath Discord.
Yeah, also
there's a Marath Discord,
which
Discord. Sam moderates in case anybody didn't know. He's a moderator of Marath Discord.
And he did do a deck tech on it on MTG and Quarantine's podcast. So check that out. So check that out. But it's also got a couple pretty solid combo loops for it. So if you have something that, like a hardened scales effect, something that says when you put a +1/+1 counter, put an additional +1/+1 counter. And then if you have that and Cryptic Trilobite, it has an ability that says remove 2 +1/+1 counters and add 2 colorless mana. So you can cycle these counters around and move them onto things and steadily grow how much you have. There are these ways of kind of looping for infinite damage with that. And then it's also just an infinite mana outlet. So if you have infinite mana and you're running Marath, you can just play Marath from the command zone, pay X to remove all the counters from it, deal a bunch of damage to something, and then just keep playing him out of the command zone and continue to get more and more damage out without anything besides infinite mana, and you win. So yeah, Marath has like all this stuff going for it. It can be an outlet, it can be a combo piece, it can just be value town. And the biggest thing that kills me about this is Sam's Marath deck is also just packed with all kinds of other shit that's just in there to make people's lives miserable.
And by shit, you mean stacks.
Yes.
It is just like nothing but fucking stacks. Like every card that he puts down is a stacks piece. And it's like, that boy, man, does Sam love stacks. Yep. Like I know we talk about it all the time. I don't know if people even get it. Like Sam thrives on that feeling of other people squirming and hating like the situation that exists. He thrives in it.
Yeah. It's also Marath enables him to play certain stacks pieces and really get the worst out of them too. Like he plays Living Plane. He plays Living Plane with
like who fucking plays Living Plane?
Which
that's the stacks.
It turns all creatures into 1/1s. So then he's just blasting up everyone's lands too with Marath. It's just really brutal.
But like the thing is, Marath is so bad that it's literally actually a Goblin Sharpshooter deck. It's not actually a Marath deck.
Yeah, Goblin Sharpshooter
Marath
gets the
is in
job
there
done
to do stuff, but like Goblin Sharpshooter is definitely like the win con almost.
Yeah. So I skipped this part because I wanted to jump right into, some of the deets on this thing. But Tony, does Marath make you salty?
Oh, it makes me so fucking salty. Like literally, I feel like the amount of time Sam has been like, "Oh, I'm gonna play Marath," and this was like kind of in the past when he was playing, and it wasn't cEDH yet because we all know that the only deck I play is S tier Selvala because that's all you need. But in the past, I remember he would like grab Marath, and I'd be like, "Ugh," and I would switch my deck because I was like, either this deck can't play with Marath or like it it's weird. It's just so bad in all environments because in casual, it also sucks because you're like, oh, well, my command, you instantly look at the butt on your commander and you're like, that's not big enough.
That is not big enough at all.
Yeah. Marath is going to fucking take my booty and it's like not what I want. Fuck. It's just so. I feel like it's like Sam's dream. It's his fucking wet dream, this deck. Yeah. And that's how it's like formulated. And it's just so against my core of what I enjoy about the game.
Yeah, getting stuff removed.
And when I say there's like a panicked feeling, like I really do have a panicked feeling when Marath is on the board and I have like my commander or anything out. I'm just like, just don't look at me, please.
Because it's going to get removed as soon as you're trying to do something too. He's not going to kill it until it hurts you.
Yeah, and it almost makes it worse because you're sitting there waiting for it to happen. You're like, God, just let me like live.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. How about
Oh
you,
my
Mike?
God.
How's this?
This we talk a lot about how cEDH is a lot less salty for us. This card makes me salty every time I see it in cEDH. We went to a game store, we were playing with other people, like, outside of our normal pod, and I sat down with Sam and two other people, and he pulled out Marath, and I immediately was like, oh my God, guys, you're not gonna like this. Everyone, like, you guys should deal with this. This is gonna be awful. Get ready for the worst, most miserable experience. And people were like,
And then
okay,
they're like,
okay.
what the
They're
fuck
like,
is
it's
your meta?
Marath. Yeah, like, whatever. And then immediately everyone was like, I get it. I get it. This is awful. I hate it. This made me build other decks. Like this was that
Yeah.
salt inducing for me. It just completely shut stuff off. It's and it just doesn't feel like it has great answers, because if you remove it, sure, it's 2 more mana expensive, but it comes in with 2 more counters on it. So it just means it's that deeper of like a hose to shoot more damage at someone.
Yeah, and it's such a mana hungry deck that like that's all it's doing. It's just like getting like he almost wants you to remove it so that he can fucking cast it again for more. And you're like, fuck me.
Yeah.
So where on the list of this live, Mike? I think it's number 1.
Yeah, this is the 0.
This is 0. Yeah,
right. The website's a little broken, so it starts at 1 and goes to 100, but this is actually 0. It just doesn't show on the page.
It's above the winter orbs of the world.
It's it's worse than winter orb. And then when Sam plays it, it goes to -1 too. It's even worse than that somehow, because he's really scraping out every piece of degeneracy he can find.
I feel like I've never actually looked at like the Marath Discord, and if it's like real, and if there's like 10 people in it, or if it's just like Sam.
I think it's just Sam.
It's like, who is out there that there's enough drive for this type of a deck to like exist and be in the world?
Yeah.
And I feel like I actually have known some other people in the past. Like I remember when these decks like came out. Like all these ones that had this, like, I think they all had a similar theme to that, right? Where like you pay more every time they come in, but you get more value from it in some way, shape, or form. I don't even remember what the fuck the other ones were, but like, I remember a few friends having Marath at the time and being like, oh, this is potent. Yeah.
I'm curious too. I feel like I remember some things existing like that as well.
I think it was like it was a commander, isn't it? Isn't it like the 2015
commander? I think it's one of
the
precons. This is really where we need Sam to just educate us on the
history of Marath.
But there's a Jund one,
the Hearst
Gyrus Waker of Corpses, that I think is similar. It gets +1/+1s for each time it was cast.
But it's just like cool shit.
Yeah, well, it revives stuff, reanimates things. I guess that's cool. Whatever.
It's cooler than fucking having me live in fear.
True, preach. Yeah. Go off, King. All true. Well, fuck. That wraps up our salty card of the week.
No, it's supposed to be like well, thanks, Mike, for the salty card of the week. And thank you to our prospectors.
Good. Do it.
We want to thank you guys. We want Oh, I know. Wait. If you enjoyed this episode of the Howling Salt Mine and you want more Howling Salt Mine, you can do some shit.
What?
You can what? Fuck! I was on a roll. I felt like
you
I
had
was
like
feeling it,
a whole half sentence that went really well,
and it was like right.
Yeah, it was really good.
But then I just immediately I was like, do we talk about Patreon now? Do we talk about Gmail? Do we talk about
all of those? Sam mixes it up every time.
Instagram? Does he talk about Instagram? Hit us up on Instagram. No. We only want you to talk to us on Twitter.
Oh, God.
Send us an email if you've got salty stories and you want us to share them. Then send an email to
The Howling Salt
The
Mine.
Howling Salt Mine at gmail.com. He says it every fucking time, and I'm like, which one has the? Which one doesn't have the?
Well, I think we get both on Gmail. So you can send them to howlingsaltmine.com. Wait. howlingsaltmine at gmail.com.
Howlingsaltmine.com.
We ask that you keep
Nice.
those short, sweet, and to the salt.
Hell yeah.
If you want more Howling Salt Mine content, you can find us on Patreon. We are Patreon/Howling Salt Mine. Probably
Is that
something
it?
like that.
Thought it was Howling Salt Mine /Patreon.
There's a link.
Patreon /
There's a
Howling Salt
link
Mine?
in the description
Yo, for
that's
real?
going to be
Go to our
way
Google.
easier than trying to type it in.
Scryfall Howling Salt Mine link tree, and then you'll find all of our shit, and it'll be great.
Yep.
Oh, we also have merch.
Yep.
Get up on that bonfire site. Like, get some merch for you. We got Howling Salt Mine t-shirts. We got sweatshirts with our sexy logo, and we've got blue as a trash color for trash player shirts, because that's just true.
It's reality.
It's
reality
just true.
in Tony's mind.
We got to do a big shout out to our artist, Devin Burnett. He's in Asheville, North Carolina, and if you ever are there and you want a sick tattoo, hit him up.
He's the guy.
He'll hook you up.
Yep.
What the fuck else do we do? Is there something else?
If you haven't already,
give us fucking 5-star reviews.
Yes.
Up on Spotify, bitch. Like, we gotta pay the bills somehow, and that's the way.
Show your friends. Get your friend really salty, and then tell them about the podcast. Go to your LGS, pub stomp someone, and then say like, "Oh, if that really pissed you off, you should write into these guys."
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. We don't endorse that.
That's what we need business cards for, and hand them out so that people can just like slide them over the table to somebody that they just pub stomped.
Yeah, we need to purchase the business telephone number 1-800-GOT-SALT.
Yeah.
That's actually
Oh my God,
that's
can you
actually
do
a
that?
number too, right?
Is it?
Yeah, it's 7. Oh no.
Oh yeah, you're so right.
Oh no.
How do we
purchase
phone numbers?
this?
If you're in the 30%, you'll have already bought it for us, and you'll send it to us, and we'll know.
Yeah.
Well, that's all, folks.
Yeah. Well,
as always, stay salty.
and don't forget to draw.
And don't forget to draw an additional. Oh, I thought
And
we were
don't
going to do it
forget
like
to draw-
together.
and don't forget to draw
an additional card.
during your draw step.
I thought then we were going to go.
Should we do one? Should we do one? Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't forget.
And don't forget to wait. Oh, you mean wait? I thought you actually meant should we do it together?
I did, and then we didn't do it
Okay.
together.
Well, I was ready.
Okay.
Okay.
And don't forget.
And don't forget to draw an additional.
card
That's
during
not my
your draw
fault.
step.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Talk about salty situations. Shit, that's
When
the wrong order
when you
too.
fucking
We do hosts.
delve into the
Oh, we do have
fucking
to delve.
minds.
All
You
right.
fucking piece
All
of
right.
shit.
All right. Well, then you do it if you're so good.
No,
Tony.
keep going. You've already started. Okay, now, Mike, this is the part now where you can ask me about, what.
But Tony, what's salt?
No, you're supposed to say salt, and then I could be like, "What's the fucking salt?"
Shh.
Oh.
Shall we read another
Should
poem?
not-
Should we
eh.
read another one? Should we read another one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-oh, we lost Tony. No. No, it's just me. Just me hanging out on an episode. What happened? Where'd he go? What's going to happen with this audio? That's the real question. Will Sam edit this episode? Will I edit this episode? Will this be lost forever?